Hey, folks, this is Reverend Wayne S. Pierce for the 3rd of July, 2014. Tomorrow's the 4th. I just want to give everybody a heads up in this little mini podcast that I'm doing for you all that tomorrow the views expressed live will be off, celebrating the holidays with my significant other, Diana Nelson. So, we are going to take the weekend off. We may have the Diana and Wayne's Grab Bag Potpourri talk show, but we're not sure yet. Tomorrow's the holiday. We may just take it off. Although you haven't heard us in a few weeks, but, Anyway, I wanted to mention that. The Views Expressed Live will be off tomorrow. I took yesterday off, had to do some research. It's just stacking up. You got to get through all of this, before the end of the day. At least I'm my own boss, so I don't, I can I can procrastinate as much as I can until it just gets too much, and then I got to, I got to take care of it, you know what I mean? Anyway, folks, lots of things are happening, lots of things are going on, lots of things are heating up. If you can't stand the heat, get the hell out of the kitchen. Oh, and by the way, put the fire out on the stove. And on the way out, take the garbage out. The Hobby Lobby decision opened up a can of worms. Now, in Illinois, from what I understand, let me cruise on up here and I'll give you this information here. As soon as I find it, where the heck did it go? Okay. It was on Facebook, but, here it is, right here, from minorityreportblog.com, theminorityreport.blog.com. Let me get that right. Supreme Court decision costs union millions. Let me read that again. Supreme Court decision costs unions millions. Too many S's. This was written at theminorityreport.blog.com. Yesterday, in addition to the Hobby Lobby decision, this, by the way, was posted, let me look here, July 2nd. Yesterday, in the decision to the Hobby Lobby, in addition to the Hobby Lobby decision, the U.S. Supreme Court also published the Harris decision. In that case, a home health care worker sued the state of Illinois because they required her to join a Service Employees International Union. Can you say SEIU? She said her First Amendment rights were being violated by the state of Illinois and SEIU because they used her mandatory union dues to promote political positions in which she did not agree. The Supreme Court sided with Ms. Harris in a fairly narrow ruling that was based on the fact that she was not really an employee of the state. She was really an independent contractor. The decision has the potential to take millions away from SEIU and the Democratic Party. They work together. They sleep together, folks. They're in the same bed. As we've noted before, public employee unions are nothing more than a conduit for taxpayer funding of Democratic candidates, and we think they should be abolished. We'll take Harris as a starting point. This is what theminorityreport.blog.com says. In Illinois, this immediately puts a stop to the SEIU collecting $20 million in annual dues from home health care workers. This has been an issue in a growing number of states as Democratic governors and union officials desperately look for new sources of revenue, and some health care workers have been a ripe target. They're low-paid. They work in scattered locations individually. They're not particularly well educated, with the obvious exception of Ms. Harris, and they're not prone to picking a fight with the state or a deep pocket union. Let me translate that into English, folks. They're stupid, they're scattered about, and they have no clear understanding of what's going on. This is how the Democratic Party and SEIU is looking at the home health care workers. Okay? And of course, the Democratic Party looks at, and the SEIU wants money in their pocket to promote their socialism. Do you understand me now? Are we on the same page? Cool. Says here in big red letters, 13 other states currently force home health care workers and daycare workers to give part of their Medicaid payments to unions. The Supreme Court's decision has laid the foundation to challenge those state policies, and according to Patrick Simmons, spokesman for the National Right to Work Committee, which represented Harris in the suit, quote, "This will help us in existing challenges we have going to end these types of schemes in other states," unquote, he said. The decision could strike a devastating blow to the national labor groups, despite the fact that home health care workers in Illinois paid as little as $30 a month to the unions, according to Simmons. Quote, "We've estimated that there are as many as 500,000 people who aren't state employees being called state employees for the purpose of paying dues," unquote, he said. In other words, corral them all together and put them in all one category outside of the mainstream SEIU union type of situation and say, you're going to pay anyway, no matter what. In other words, they're shaking them down. The SEIU and the Democratic Party is shaking these people down to get as much money out of them as they can legally, but it's not legal to begin with. Do you understand me? We on the same page? Cool. Thank you. Email me, freeamericaradio@usa.com. freeamericaradio@usa.com. Continuing. 500,000 people times $30 per month is a bunch of money that won't be able to be used to fund the Democratic Party. It is also likely to spread beyond home health care workers. In Minnesota, Governor Mark Dayton has been trying to forcibly unionize daycare workers for several years. The daycare workers have sued, and the case is pending appeal in the 8th Circuit Court of Appeals. The court specifically delayed their decision on the case pending the Harris decision. The cases are not identical, but there's enough overlap to give hope to the circuit court will smack down Dayton. Even if it doesn't, there's enough overlap to justify the appeal to the Supreme Court of the United States. It would appear that public employee unions are right where they should be, on the run. This is exactly the thing I have been talking about for years, people. Years. Okay? Years. Unions have outlived their usefulness and serve no purpose to their employees, to the members that they have, except to steal the money out of their pocket to put it into the Democratic fold, into the Democratic Party and their fold and their system of what they perceive to be a government of, by, and for them. Period. End of sentence. Got a problem with that? Oh, and by the way, let me say this. The Republicans are no better. They just try to find other cunning and conniving ways to take your money out of these unions to put it into their pockets. They're much, or I should say, they're less, what's the word? They're less vocal about it. They're less, they don't show it as much. They're more like, yeah, we do it over here. We want to take your money. Democrats are just like, we want to take your money, and this is how we're going to do it. They don't really care because they understand that the more that they push the American people to the brink of bankruptcy, the more that they can come in, take everything they have, including their property, and just say, here's what you're going to do. In other words, by the way, folks, Democrats are nothing more than dictators. When you break it down to the final equation, they are nothing more than dictators. What are Republicans? The progressive side of the Republican Party are nothing more than the puppets of the dictators of the Democratic Party. Shall I go on, or is that kind of, do you understand that? Is that within your realm of understanding? By the way, folks, that's my opinion based upon the experiences I've had with unions and based upon the people I've talked to in unions. And yes, am I correct? Maybe not as a whole, And maybe not everyone can see it that way or is involved in situations like that. So I exclude those folks. But the rest of it, probably somewhere around 85-90% of it is true. So, I just think that there's, we have to understand that there are times, literally, where we have to bring about some sense and sensibility and reasonable and rational discussions into the mix of all of this. Unfortunately, as much as I talk to people and as much as people tell me, oh, you're calling names, you're doing this, I'm not one of those, whatever it may be, right? Whatever it is, people are they're divided. They're divided. And that division is based entirely upon nothing that is absolutely rational. Their intentions are good. These people who argue with me and say I'm not one of those and why are you calling me names and all this, that, and the other thing, and you should know better. Yeah, I do know better. That's why I'm trying to tell you how this all is. Trying to inform you of certain things. Okay? That's what I'm trying to do, but you're not listening and you don't care and you probably have never cared and you probably will never care and, you're going to have your head stuck in the sand all this time. And, so again, I'm going to say two things. I'm going to make this decree right now. One, I'm done with stupid people. I've said that before. I'm just done. One, that's it. Done. Done with stupid people. You can go away, stick your head in the sand. I don't care. Number two, I'm not even going to talk to people anymore. I'm not going to talk to those types of people anymore due to the fact that they have no intellectual prowess to be able to sit down, open a book, examine, research, investigate, or do any of that to find out just how screwed they truly are by this tyrannical regime that is in Washington, D.C. Okay? Not going to do it. I'm not gonna talk to them anymore. I mean, they can go do whatever they want. It just doesn't really, Bye, have a nice day. Enjoy. Oh, you need a couple of bucks for your Starbucks? Yeah, I can give you $5. I don't mind that. Here you go. Go have a Starbucks, or in some cases, go to Tim Hortons. Okay, and that's fine. I'm not going to argue with people anymore. Okay? Arguments don't prove anything. And you know what? And here, let me point out. Let me give you a diagram in your mind of what an argument is. Here's an argument. You disagree with me. I try to share with you the truth with the facts to back it up. You want to disagree with me. I show you more information with facts to back it up. You want to continue to argue with me. I continue to that's an argument. But with the far left liberal loons that are out there, their argument is not verbal. Their argument is slamming their hand on the table and saying, you're going to listen to me because this is how it's going to be and this is what we're going to do. And that's all they're doing. They're not arguing. They're demanding and dictating. This is directly out of the playbook of the Democratic Party, by the way. Harry Reid, come to mind, folks. Now, here's the other thing. And I'm going to make this perfectly clear from my own point of view. Oh, hey, before I do, I'm just looking at the clock here. Looking at the clock, we got to take a break. But let me give you a teaser here from my end of it. Here's how I am. I say what I say. It's the truth with the facts to back it up, because that's how I was raised, and that's what I do. Okay? That's how I was raised. That's what I was taught to do. Think for myself, find the evidence, find the material to back up what I say, have the facts to back it up, and then present it. That's what I was taught to do. Think outside of the box. Think for myself. Don't get stuck in a rut. Think about how to get out of the rut. That's how I was raised. No, I don't see anybody else that is in the, let's just say that's how I was raised. So I can go on from there, but that's it in a nutshell. I may not have to explain it much after that, but the only the thing that I see from people are, stating to me that they're in the middle, that they're liberal or conservative, they're in the middle, this, that, and the other thing. I only see anywhere between 5% at the lowest and 8% at the highest of those types of people that are on the fence, that have absolutely no idea which side of the fence to be on, and probably a good majority of those people have their heads stuck in the sand because they don't want to hear it. They got their fingers in their ears. La, 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 la. They're watching their stupid sports programs and their reality shows. They want to close their windows, their doors. They want to turn the music up. They don't want to hear all the crap going on outside. That's probably where they're at. And that is a huge problem. There might be, 0.5% or 1% of those people that actually are sitting there going, who do I believe? Where do I want to go? And what's this person? There are probably very few people that are doing that. So when you look at the population of the United States of America, 300 million plus people, 1% is how much? So you've got that whole area of thought as well. So when you break it down in the demographics and when you break it down into the statistics, you'll see precisely these people who argue with me and say that I shouldn't call names and I should know better. You'll see these people sitting on the fence arguing with everybody else because things are not their way. Okay, so you've got those types of people, But anyway, hey, if you have any questions, comments, concerns, even if you disagree with me, that's okay. I'm fine with that. But I'm going to show you the truth with the facts to back it up. And let me tell you something about the truth briefly. It's not about your truth, my truth. It's not about that. And you're going to argue that point till the sun comes up. I know this. I understand this. You're going to be wrong every step of the way, but I understand this. Because if your facts backing up your truth do not coincide with the facts that I present, and they don't coincide with other outside information that we can establish as being facts, then your truth is moot. It means absolutely nothing. Oh, and I say that about myself as well. Okay? So we're both in the same boat. It's a stalemate. You ever play chess? Oh, checkmate. We can't move. We can't do anything, so we got to call the game. You know what I'm saying? So anyway, to all my liberal friends out there that seem to think that they're in the middle, that they're more conservative than everybody else, let me just say this. You're liberal. Get over it. Okay? Don't say you're in the middle. You're freaking liberal. Get over it. And there's probably, like I said, 3, 4, 5, 8% of those actually sitting on the fence trying to figure out which way to go. So anyway, folks, I'm going to take a little break. I'll be right back after this. Don't go away. Stay tuned. There's more show coming up. I'll be right back. This is Reverend Wayne S. Pierce from The Views Expressed. Please come join me on The Views Express Live, Monday through Friday, 4 p.m. Pacific, 7 p.m. Eastern, right here on Spreaker.com. Eastland Radio Repertory Theater is looking for you. Are you a voice actor? Do you want to hone your abilities? Please send your audition clips to Eastland Radio Theater at USA.com. We are currently looking for voice actors to fill certain character roles in an ongoing radio play in development. Please send your audition clips to Eastland Radio Theater at USA.com. Sharing the truth, one fact at a time. This is the Free America Radio Network. Hey folks, this is the Wayne S. Pierce Show podcast, a little mini podcast for you. Actually, it is a podcast, not a mini podcast. I'm sorry. It's Thursday, the 3rd of July, 2014. No views expressed live tomorrow on the 4th, July 4th. We're taking the day off, as if I will not be broadcasting the views expressed live tomorrow due to the holidays, but I will be here today, the 3rd of July, 2014, right here on this Thursday, and at 4 p.m. Pacific, 7 p.m. Eastern, and come check it out, man. Come check it out. Go listen also, when you get time, go listen to Bob Brutus over at wakingupthemasses.com. And also go check out, when you can, Brian Lang over at livetruthradio.com. Go check that out as well. Also, if you want to get more information about what's happening as well, not like you don't get enough from me, you can go check out Nick Tucker on Facebook. Go check out Distorted Reality with Nick Tucker on Facebook. And let me go into this direction before I get into the next story, next article. And that is, I have a lot of liberal friends. And when I say liberal, I'm talking specifically, they want to open the borders, let everybody in. I have those types of friends as well. But I have liberals that say they're on the fence, or they're more Democratic, or they're more, this, or they're more that, or, whatever it is. I have liberal friends. Believe me, I do. But they're just, and to be totally honest with you, they are absolutely clueless. Now, why do I say that? And why do I call liberals libtards and morons and all that? Because they are. I'm not going to hold back. 6 months or so ago, I think in December of last year, I said on my programs, I'm not going to hold back anymore. If I think you're stupid, I'm going to tell you, you're stupid. I'm not going to hold back anymore. Oh, people are going to get offended and they're going to be pushed away and they're not going to want to listen to your shows. I've had somebody tell me that. That's why I say it that way. Not in that fashion. They said, if you keep doing that, people aren't going to listen to your shows. And I went, well, the people that want to listen will, and the people that don't won't. There wasn't anything they could say to that. They just went, kind of, twisted up their little sense of intellectualism, and they kind of, almost blew a gasket when I said that. But anyway, because, hey, I'm not going to hold back anymore, Like I said, there are those on the fence. There's about 3 to 5 to 8%, somewhere around in there. Not very many, who are sitting there, trying to decide who to believe, who not to believe, whatever. And maybe there's a small percentage of those people as well that are sitting there going, well, I really think that, and they have that. But mostly my liberal friends look at me and think that I'm extreme. Most of my conservative friends, and yes, I do have those as well. I do have conservative friends as well. They look at me and think that I should be thinking their way. Well, they both think that I should think their way, but I don't, because I think outside of the box. And the box is what has you held to your to someone else's ideal of what you should be, and they will teach you and tell you and force you not to think outside of that box. I should know. I grew up with two parents who were hardcore Democrats. Okay? So I've got personal experience with this. Do you understand me? My folks were loving, kind, but my mom literally said, don't think like she told me, don't think like anybody else. Think for yourself, And I thought to myself later on, as I was growing up as a kid, I thought to myself, that's very good advice. You don't have to do what everybody does. If your friends jumped off a bridge, would you? Well, if the water was, closer to the to the bridge, maybe. But no, literally, if your friends told you to jump off a bridge, would you do it? No, because that's just completely stupid. Okay, so I'm not going to do what other people tell me to do, period. I'm not going to believe or think or vote how other people tell me to. Why? Because I'm smarter than that. I have a little more intelligence in myself than most people will ever imagine. Okay? Not that I'm arrogant about it. I mean, I sat down with smarter people than I was, and I've learned a great deal. And they've learned a great deal from me, and I'm okay with that. We high-five each other and move on down the line, and we have a good day. But in the last 7 or 8 or 10 years, we've had people that are just total ditzes, and they have absolutely no idea what the hell they're doing. And when you ask them, how do you vote? Well, I vote Democratic. This is a democratic nation, and I vote Democratic. They're all stiff-necked and arrogant to think that they're more important than everybody else. But anyway, did I say that? Anywho, we do have... When we look out at these people who are on, and I'm going to say this, both sides of the aisle, Republican, Democrat, conservative, liberal, we have to look at ourselves and say, are they real? Do they know the real issues that I am faced with? Chances are no, because all they're doing is trying to please their controllers that put them into the office, that bought their offices, that are renting their offices in the White House. Yes, I said that, renting their offices in the White House. Okay? Lobbyists pay special interest groups pay lobbyists pay the politicians, backdoor, this kind of thing. You know how it works, I think last I checked, Nancy Pelosi or Harry Reid were worth just a little over $1 million when they got into Washington, D.C. Now they're worth, tens of millions of dollars. Why? Because it's a profitable business to be a congressman or a congresswoman. Yeah. Why do you think they want to stay in there for the rest of their life? Can you say Strom Thurmond? And a few other ones that were there for 50 or 60 years. That's too long. I believe in term limits. I believe that every senator, every House of Representative, every president should have 6 years, and that's it. Done. Zip. Boom. You're out. Go away. And if they want to be reelected, you wait 4 years. Don't run for any office. I don't give a crap if it's a, appointed office in your own city. Wait 4 years and then run for reelection. Jerry Brown did it in California, but he got in on the back door before they, closed it. So, why not? But anyway, I believe in term limits. I believe in a flat tax, not a fair tax. Screw it. I don't believe in taxes at all. I think we need to get rid of them, and the states need to take care of themselves. I don't think we need, matching funds for highway projects from the federal government. I don't believe that crap. We need to take care of ourselves. That's just the way it is. And we can. We've done it long before 1913, didn't we? We had schools and police and firemen and services and stuff like that, didn't we? Before 1913? We didn't start paying property taxes until the 1950s. So, property tax, you know what that is? That's rent on the ground under your house. Okay, you're paying rent to the federal government for the ground under your house. You get that? Does that make any sense to anybody out there? Anyway, folks, hey, coming up on another break. I want to take this break, and then we'll take the next 18 or 20 minutes, and I'll discuss a few of the articles that I've been looking at. And you can come check me out on the Views Express Live today at 4 p.m. Pacific, 7 p.m. Eastern on freeamericaradio.us. This is Reverend Wayne S. Pierce from the Free America Radio Network. Come join me on the Views Expressed live, 4 p.m. Pacific, 7 p.m. Eastern, on freeamericaradio.us. This is Wayne S. Pierce from the Free America Radio Network, and we are looking for sponsors. If you want to sponsor any of the shows on the Free America Radio Network, email us at freeamericaradio@usa.com. Our website is freeamericaradio.us.
You know, we gotta keep meeting like this.
I've lots of playthings, a dolly or two. We live in the house across the way.
Well, that was new.
Is there any insanity in your family? Ain't it awful?
Attention passengers, this is your captain speaking. Please fasten your seatbelts. The approach will get a little rough.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Sharing the truth, one fact at a time. Defending liberty and freedom. Fighting the New World Order. This is the Free America Radio Network. Hey folks, this is the Wayne S. Pierce Show podcast for the 3rd of July 2014. How you doing? Are you good? Are you smiling? You woke up, you looked in the mirror and went, "Oh my God!" No, I'm just kidding. That's what I did this morning. I woke up, looked in the mirror, and my reflection screamed. Kind of a weird day. But anyway, hey, there are things which we have to really accept. Okay? We have to accept that this current administration that we have is totally out of control. We have to accept that. The question remains, though, is what are the people going to do about it? Well, let me get into the couple of articles. That's just a question I'm going to throw out there for most of you because, well, you know, you need to ask yourself those questions. Seriously, okay? You need to ask those questions. Now, I'm going to go over to the Drudge Report and check out some articles there. I saw some things earlier, but I didn't remember where they were and all of that. Now, here's what we have to accept, that this regime wants to tear down and destroy America. Why do I say that? Well, from 2008 to 2014, the 6 years that this administration has been in power, we have had a record number of people unemployed. Let me tell you, from cnsnews.com, the right news right now, Ali Meyer writes, record number of Americans not in the labor force in June. Last month, this was posted today. Ali says the number of Americans 16 or older who did not participate in the labor force climbed to a record high of 92,120,000 in June, according to the data from the Bureau of Labor Statistics. This means that there were 92,120,000 Americans 16 and older who not only did not have a job, but did not actively seek one in the last 4 weeks. Now, how do they know that, folks? How does the Bureau of Labor Statistics know this? The only way that they know this is to track companies and their hiring or the people's applications into these companies. How do they do that? Well, you figure that one out. Continuing, that is up. The 92,120,000 Americans being unemployed or not looking is up 111,000 from 92,009,000 Americans who are not participating in the labor force in April. Okay. In June, according to BLS, the Bureau of Labor Statistics, the labor force participation rate for Americans was 62.8%, matching a 36-year low. The participation rate is the percentage of the population that either has a job or actively sought one in the last 4 weeks. In December, April, May, and now June, the labor force participation rate has been 62.8%. Before December, the last time the labor force participation rate sank as low as 62.8% was in February of 1978, when it was 62.8%. At that time, Jimmy Carter was president. At no time during the presidencies of Ronald Reagan, George H.W. Bush, Bill Clinton, or George W. Bush did such a small percentage of civilian non-institutional population either hold a job or at least actively seek one. While the number of Americans not in the labor force increased, the unemployment rate dropped from 6.3% in April to 6.1% in June. Okay, unemployment rate dropped. Now, the only way they track that is through the unemployment, when people go get unemployment benefits. When there's nobody seeking those or getting those, the percentage is naturally going to drop, is it not? I mean, seriously. And then they're not counting those. They're just counting the people that actually signed up. Okay. CNS News relies on individuals like you to help us report the news to the liberal media that the liberal media distort. Excuse me, let me read this again. The CNSnews.com relies on individuals like you to help us report the news the liberal media distort and ignore. And here's something else. And I'm going to say this, and I know that people are really, really pissed off and upset, and shall I go on? I mean, you can probably list them yourself, right? Now, the commentaries and the blogs at CNS News have really, really good stuff, such as Barbara Boland, leader, said this in her headline: "Leader of Islamic State, you will conquer Rome next and own the world." She writes from Abu Bakr al-Baghdadi, leader of ISIL, the militant group that has taken over much of Iraq. He said, "This is my advice to you. If you hold to it, you will conquer Rome and own the world." We've heard things like that from leaders all over the world and throughout history, haven't we? Can you say Napoleon, Hitler, Mussolini? Quote, "Those who can immigrate to the Islamic State should immigrate, as immigration to the House of Islam is a duty," unquote, he said in an audio recording released on a website used by ISIS, reports to Telegraph. By the way, ISIS was training in Jordan, and the trainers were the CIA and people like that. Go look it up. Go to your favorite search engine, startpage.com is mine, and search ISIS trained by CIA. Check it out. Quote, "Rush, O Muslims," that's what it says, "Rush, O Muslims, to your state. It is your state. Syria is not for Syrians, and Iraq is not for Iraqis. The land is for the Muslims, all Muslims," unquote. Baghdadi has a PhD in Islamic studies, which it still means he's not intelligent, he's just stupid with a PhD. Baghdadi says he's speaking as a first caliph or commander of Islamic faithful since the dissolution of the Ottoman Empire. He called on Muslims to rally to his pan-Islamic state. Turkey is under the Islamic rule. Quote, "The whispers of support to a caliph in Afghanistan are now replaced by clear words and acts amplified by social media," unquote, said Hassan, an analyst at Abu Dhabi's Delma Institute to the Telegraph, quote, jihadism has evolved significantly. It is no longer limited to narrow elites who travel to distant countries to wage jihad. Today, jihad is more sophisticated. Today's jihad is more sophisticated and individualized and can be waged everywhere, unquote. Kind of like Anonymous. Baghdadi calls on jihadi fighters to escalate fighting in the upcoming month of Ramadan, which began Sunday. Quote, so to arms, soldiers of Islamics, fight, unquote. Meanwhile, 8 rebel fighters were crucified in Syria by ISIL for being, quote, too moderate, unquote, 3 days ago, Reuters reports. Over 2,400 people were killed in Iraq in June, the deadliest month the country has seen in years, according to the UN reports. I'm going to say this, and I said this in a report, or not in a report, sorry, I've said this in a post on Facebook, and that is this. We need to get the military, our military, and our allies out of the Middle East, out of those specific countries that want to wage a jihad against Americans. We want to pull those Americans out, those military out, close the bases, get them out, get these families that want to immigrate to the U.S. or to some other country, we need to help them get out. That's going to take a little while, probably about 12 to 18 months. That's going to take a little while. Then we need to pull all those people out that want to go or just allow them to go and, convince the country to allow them to go. Moses, let my people go, and just get them out of there. That way, when the ISIS or ISIL sets up their caliphate, here's what I would propose. Not that it's ever going to happen, but this is what I'm proposing. When they have that whole part of their country in, under their caliphate and Muslim rules, we need to fly 150 big giant bombers over that country with 50 Moabs in the bellies of those bombers, and we need to drop them right in the middle of them. Okay? That's how you solve the problem. Now, I know some people might say that's extreme. I said I propose it. It's not like it's ever going to happen because too many people are divided on this whole issue of how do we deal with the Middle East? How do we deal with the jihad? How, what they implement? How do we deal with radical Muslims? How do we deal with this? They're too busy trying to be diplomatic about the situation, which diplomacy is good in some cases. But in this case, no. In this case, when a radical Muslim cleric and a Muslim leader say that they want to destroy Americans and come to America and install a caliphate here and declare war on Americans and the American political system, to me, that's a declaration of war, people. That's a declaration of war. And when you have politicians in Washington, D.C. saying, well, let's just open the southern border and let these people in, that's traitorous. Do you see how upside down this all is? Now, I would not recommend it at all, ever in a million years. I will say this. Please do not fly the bombers over their areas, okay? But I said that, I proposed that, because this is what most people have on their minds. This is what most people are thinking. Kill them. They want to wage war against Americans. Kill them. This is what most people are this is in their minds. I propose that only because of the fact that that's what most people are thinking. Now, let me switch that around for a minute and give you some rational thoughts. Yes, diplomacy is good in some cases. Not in every case, but in some cases it works. What we need to do is this is something that I've seen following all of this. This is what we need to do. First of all, in regards to our southern borders and all of that, in those 4 or 5 border states that are there, or 4 that I know of, that are there, including the Gulf states, let's put it that way. What we need to do is we need to close the border, period. End of sentence, done. Close it, close it, close it, close it, close it. People want it closed, we need to close it. That's it. Okay? You're stuck. You're in Mexico, you're in Central America, you go deal with your crap over there. Don't bring it over here. Okay? But it's humanitarian if we just let them in and help, and they've got a corrupt government and they need to get out. No, they need to get a pair of balls and they need to stand up to their people. Well, that's a civil war, and then we're going to have to send military down there. Really? Really? Seriously? Really? Huh. Now, the other thing that really has, let's see, people are pissed. People are pissed and people want something done. They want it done now, and they have asked and demanded and yelled and screamed and did everything they could for this country to take care of the situation. Because this country is now against the American people, this country, meaning the members of Washington, D.C., are against this country. This regime is against this country and wants to tear it down. It is now in the hands of the people, and the people will take matters into their own hands and close the damn borders. Okay? In January, buses were purchased by the federal government because they knew this was going to happen. Last year, they knew this was going to happen. They knew it. They knew it. They planned it. It has been planned. So now we have to upset their plans and close the borders. There are protesters in Murrieta, down near San Diego, that are at the border that are telling these people, get the hell out. Okay? Now, don't give me this crap. Well, what about the children? What about this? What about that? We need to do this. No. We need to close the border. What part of $18 trillion in debt do you not understand? Okay? Excuse me. Wow. That was me. I didn't want to burp out loud. I was trying to hold it in. Here. Let me get down to the bottom line before I get to the next article on the last portion. Actually, we're coming up on a break, so I'll get to the article after the break. But let me get to my point. My point is this. We, the people, understand that our government is corrupt, and we have to change that. And if you don't think the government's corrupt, open your damn eyes. Get your head out of the freaking sand. This country is corrupt. This country is being run by a Marxist, an un-American Marxist. And don't give me this crap that he's not. He's not Muslim. Yeah, he is. He already said he was. I don't want to hear it. Go away. You're going to argue with me on that point? You better have some information to back it up. If not, bye-bye. Have a nice day. Enjoy. Go watch your damn sports and your stupid reality shows. Thing is you need to understand that you, the people that are very aware, very much awake and aware of what's going on, you have to be more vigilant in getting your information out. And you have to have the facts to back up the truth you know. Not all people are libtards on the liberal side. I know. I have liberal friends. And I don't care if they argue with me till they're blue in the face. They know I'm right. They understand it. They just don't want to accept it. That's the problem. You know? Hey, I'm going to go to break. I'll be back. I'll get to the article right after the break. Stay tuned. This is the Wayne S. Pierce Show podcast. Go to thewaynespearceshow.weebly.com. Email me free, americaradio@usa.com.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Are you tired of listening to boring online late-night radio? Then listen to Late Night in the Midlands with your host, Michael Vera, 9 p.m. to 12 midnight Eastern. Go to www.latenightinthemidlands.com for more information. From politics to pop culture, current events and human interest stories, and even the paranormal, an eclectic radio adventure, he discusses it all and takes your calls. He's Spencer Hughes on The Spencer Hughes Show on blogtalkradio.com. Hey, welcome back. This is not the Views Express. That's today at 4 p.m. Pacific, 7 p.m. Eastern, right here on Free America Radio Network at freeamericaradio.us. This is the Wayne S. Pierce Show podcast. It is the 3rd of July, 2014. How you doing? Yes, to end this segment, let me go into this article, shall I? Yes, there's just, I have to really put this out here briefly. People have to wake up. That's all there is to it. People have to wake up. Okay? And if they don't, then, yeah. You know? Now, here's something else. Another distraction. Okay, that people are being kept from. Okay? In Tallahassee, Alabama. Now remember, let me say that again, Tallahassee, Alabama. This was put up yesterday at usatoday.com. An organization affiliated with the Ku Klux Klan has been leaving recruitment leaflets around here, and residents aren't happy. This is in Tallahassee, Alabama. Imperial Wizard Frank Okona, or president of Traditional American Knights of the Ku Klux Klan, confirmed Tuesday that the flyers were from a local chapter of the national organization based in Potosi, Missouri. Okona said local chapters are supposed to work within their communities. Quote, it looks like they're trying to do their job out there, unquote, Okona said. Ancona, excuse me. But it was a job of many residents here didn't want. Tallahassee Police Chief Jimmy Rogers said he began receiving complaints Sunday that recruitment packages, a Ziploc bag containing rocks and a flyer, left in people's front yards. Rogers and his officers spent the majority of Monday scouring neighborhoods of this city of about 5,000 residents, 30 miles northeast of Montgomery, Alabama, and removing the packages from the yards. About 150 were collected, he said. Brenda Moore and her husband found a flyer in their driveway after friends had told them about it on Facebook. She said everyone on her street received one. Quote, I told my husband to look at it and throw it in the trash because we don't approve of anything like that, unquote, she said. Quote, I just see how it used to be years ago, but what they would do and how they would discriminate against black people, and I don't believe in that, unquote. Moore hopes that if enough people ignore the flyers, those distributing them will be discouraged and go away. Naomi Watson, who lives across the street from Moore, thought a child had left the flyers out in the yard as a cruel joke and said she, too, does not agree with the message. Quote, I think it's absurd. Racism should be behind us, Watson said. Quote, this is 2014. People should really put that behind us and focus on loving each other and just being one people instead of trying to be against each other, unquote. Mark Potok, senior fellow of the Southern Poverty Law Center, said activities of this type have been going on in various states recently. Among them, in Alabama, the United Klans of America in June distributed flyers in plastic bags weighted with rocks to residents at Oxford, Sachs, and Wellborn. In Florida, the Knights of Ku Klux Klan tossed flyers wrapped in plastic bags along with pieces of candy in front yards in rural Lake Butler. In Pennsylvania and Tennessee and in Virginia, this has all happened. I'll just cruise down here for time purposes. Roger, the police chief, Rogers said Tallahassee police received more than 50 phone calls from residents who said they were uncomfortable with the information the flyer contained. The flyer asked for intelligent, awake, aware Christian white people to stand up for our race, our heritage, and the American way of life, unquote. Further in the flyer, it states the organization of the Ku Klux Klan is not a hate group or domestic terrorist, but rather white people standing up for white people. Eddie Daniels saw nothing wrong with an organization having such a goal. This is what somebody else said. Eddie Daniels saw nothing wrong with an organization having such a goal. Quote, I don't think there's anything wrong with supporting your own race. White people support white people just like black people support black people. It's not like they're burning crosses or anything like that, unquote. That's what this guy said. Some branches of the Klan, which has dozens of offshoots today, have toned down blatant racism and openly militant approaches and instead tout civil rights for whites, according to the Southern Poverty Law Center. And the SPLC lies through their damn teeth. Okay, because they look at patriots like you and me, and we're on their hate list. Okay? City Councilman Charles Blaylock said the bottom line is that Tallahassee residents City Councilman Charles Blaylock said the bottom line is for Tallahassee residents to stay calm and ignore the message. Quote, there might be someone out there trying to stir up trouble here, but we are strong-willed people in this town, and we're not going to let something like this upset us or cause any problems between the race relationships that we have, unquote, Blaylock said. Conan said he is waiting to hear back from local leadership of why group chose Tallahassee. Quote, people who are in leadership positions in local communities, we trust them to know what's best for their community, unquote. Conan also said no one from the local chapter would be available to speak on the matter because they want to remain anonymous. Acona said the biggest misconception about the group is a hatred of black people. The group is opposed to interracial marriage, and he said that a lot of blacks he has talked with are in agreement. Quote, that does not mean we cannot be friends with people of other races, but God created us as separate races for a reason, and let's keep it that way, unquote. See, there's the division right there. There you go. He also said that Klan opposes gay people because they make a choice to sin. Can we divide people much more, folks? Can we divide each other in such a way to where it's going to be this stupid? Continuing, while statements like this upset many people, Police Chief Rogers said the Constitution protects those views absent any violence and other hateful actions. So, the only charge residents can pursue against those who distributed the flyers is criminal littering. See, and they know this. I just wanted to read that. I'm not going to put that up on anything. I'm not going to put that up on the page. But I just wanted to read that because I thought that was interesting. That here we see, still there's a division. And when you hear, white people should stick with white people, that right there causes division. I got friends of every race, creed, and religion that you can think of. And guess what? We all get along, which is like amazing to some folks, But, from my point of view, and to close out this program, this podcast, I want to say this. Don't get caught up in this anger against somebody that's different than you. Just accept them and say, wow, okay, cool, and learn something from them. Don't sit there and want to, beat them up just because they disagree with you and they can't accept anything that you say. Just, hey, if they don't, move on. Have a nice day. You know what I'm saying? So anyway, come join me. The Views Expressed live today, 4 p.m. Pacific, 7 p.m. Eastern on freeamericaradio.us.